Do you know?
I don't. I think we met in New York. We kind of came up around the same time. Abbi was doing Broad City, and we became friends and just sort of knew each other a little bit tangentially. And then we had dinner and we started talking. I started talking about this show, which I was just starting to work on. And I think like Abbi got excited about it for some of the same reasons that I was excited about it. And it just wound up being like a great partnership. Now it feels like we've been like living together for
I know. I was like, when did
years.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it went down.
And you, everything want to add something or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a very close mutual friend, Brooke Posh, who had produced Broad City with me from sort of every angle possible. And she's Will's best friend. And that was like our main connection. And I think we'd met, or like been like sort of revolving around each other before that. But yeah, we'd hung out like with groups. And then the first time we went to dinner was when Will, like just us, we were hanging out, and Will, sort of proposed to me through League.
Okay.
And I was like immediately excited. I didn't know how I was going to do it because I was still doing Broad City, but yeah, I think from the get-go it was so exciting. I was like, yes, please let me do this with you. And also we were both, not interested in remaking the movie. We both love this film so much. It doesn't need a remake. It was always sort of like, how would this be different? How would we be telling the stories that were sort of overlooked and not featured in the film, sort of hinted at? How could we really dive into those stories of this generation of women who played baseball and loved the game? And that was sort of like, the jumping off point for what the show has become. I think one of the biggest differences is that, the film is really focusing on the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League and what that door opening, that door of opportunity was like for, the film is featuring, all white women and featuring mostly straight white women, whether we're getting that under, that subtext or not. And what that opportunity was like for them. And our show is not just about that one league. Our show, as I said before, is like really about this generation of women. So what happens when that door opens for white women and white passing women? We still talk about that, and like a lot of our characters get that opportunity. But what happens when that door closes for Max's character? How does she find her team? And it's just like a bigger scope of more leagues and more. It's just we're really interested in telling more a broader landscape of what like the baseball for women looked like at the time.
Yeah,
not necessarily just women, but yeah.
I think it's also all of the things that Abbi said, it's kind of I think if you watch the show, you'll immediately see what the differences are. I think the reason that, if this was a fictional movie, I don't think we would ever have like quote unquote remade it. This is really a way of looking and kind of reimagining the stories underneath it in a bigger way, but also taking, I think what we both loved about the movie growing up and now is the spirit of it and that sense of fun, and the characters are really flawed, and they're, firsts in a way, but they're not perfect. And it's really funny and joyful. And I think we wanted to take that tone and that lens and tell a story that people wouldn't have to imagine themselves into. More people would be able to kind of see themselves. I would say for me, and it's also fun, no one's asked us that question in exactly that way. You don't know why certain things strike you the way that they do. I loved all the scenes that we shot in the factory, and specifically the first day there, where, on the show we had this amazing group of people who helped us put together the baseball, including a lot of great baseball doubles and stunt people and everything. But when we shot the factory, we had a whole team of women who were sort of real life Rosie the Riveters, who came in and did doubling and all the welding and everything. And that was just, I think it was for me a day when the bigger scope of the show and the kind of bigger stories that it's really tied into kind of hit home. And then the most challenging was also maybe the most remarkable in some ways, which was shooting all the baseball, especially the last episode has a really gigantic baseball sequence that was a big challenge. We had an amazing director, Anya Adams, doing it. But there was so much work and planning put into making those feel real. And our baseball coordinator, Justine Siegel, who was the first woman to coach on a major league staff for Dreamies in Cooperstown, was like a real beacon for all of us in doing that. So that was definitely in some ways the most challenging, but also kind of, in its own way, like the most rewarding.
Yeah, I would say the most remarkable for me, I don't know if I can pick one, but I think what I loved the scenes with Carson and Max, because that's really like the tying together of our two worlds, and that friendship would have been so remarkable in 1943. And I don't know, I feel like it was such a slow build to getting them together and really figuring out exactly how that could work. Why are they bonded? That the space that I think that they were able to create for each other, they're both on these journeys to sort of find a bigger queer community. And on the way, they end up being their one queer community. And they've obviously bond over baseball, but I really love those scenes because they're so pivotal in each other. They both go back into each other's lives and are so moved. So I think once we started finding those in the later episodes, I loved those, and those felt so significant to me for a lot of reasons. And then I'm going to agree with Will. I think the finale episode baseball scenes, especially on the Peaches side, it was those championship leading up to the championship game, all the things. So difficult in a lot of ways, just technically there's so many people, there's so many background. And we just, it's a huge moment in the sports movie-ness of our show. And we just really wanted to get that right.
Yeah. Also, that whole sequence came from Abby's dad. I almost said Abby's dream. It wasn't. It was her.
The way in which the Peaches, the game ends, we were kind of stuck in the room. Just you get on and you're well, how do we end this? You need a really good thing. And I was just really trying to find a thing one night after the room. And I called my dad and I was I don't you've done this. You had this sports exhibit. Do you remember any stories? And he was I don't know. I guess there's this one story about this women's college softball team. And basically we that's a real life story that we borrowed and made it our own. And I was thank you, Dad. He's if you get a season 2, I'm there. I'm in the writer's room now. You owe me.
I can't wait.
There's another one on Tuesday.
Tuesday's too late, sir.
Do not approach the train.
Let it happen. I'm in.
Ticket, please.
About that.
Hey, you! You're clearly going to tryouts.
She doesn't look like that much competition.
I could be competition, I think.
Oh, we're here for the tryouts.
I don't think you understand. This is the All-American League.
We're pretty All-American. Who was that?
Show 'em that knuckleball.
They didn't even let me try out, Dad.
Maxine, you've got to make some smarter choices.
This is fun.
This is something I can work with.
Peaches, I'd like to go through a few rules. Curfew is at 10 p.m. sharp. No smoking or drinking. No pants.
What?
I'm a pitcher, and you need me.
Is that so? Everybody on the team has to have a job at the factory.
So any job?
Max, can you lift 50 pounds? And are you willing to get the shit burned out of your hands?
Yes. And I guess so.
Great.
If you want the game to be more exciting, shorten the skirts.
What the hell are you doing?
Thought that you would catch it.
My back turned?
This is our one shot.
So what if right here, right now, we forget the rules?
They don't get to decide if this is real or not. We do.
Let's go!
Things are changing pretty fast.
Hey, Dollface,